Welcome to the Fantasy Thinker. I'm Jared Quartermatch. Today we're going to have a little fun. I was tagged by my friend Robyn at Bookends and Biscuits. Thank you. And she tagged me on a tag that's called All About Titles book tag. So this is all about titles. So let's get right into it. Um, Prompt number one here, a book with a one word title. That was easy. Um, Dune, Frank Herbert. It's right on my shelf right there. So I had to take it. Plus, I get to show off this cool cover, and the sandworms on the back, the sprayed edges, a nice artwork in the middle there, a little tassel. Really like it. I need to reread this someday just to open this puppy up. But um, I really love Dune. Love the movie. So everybody knows what Dune is. Funny thing is, I was very hesitant to pick this up. I've known about this all my life. I know that, Star Wars borrowed some things from Dune, and I was a big Star Wars fan as a kid. And so, I have always heard about Dune, but I was always hesitant to pick it up because I was a fantasy reader. I considered Star Wars fantasy. Um, and so finally, when I did and I picked up and read it, I was like, oh, this is great because basically it's epic fantasy in space, So, um, you know, maybe that's a hot take. I don't know, but it's mine. Let's move on to a book with a phrase in the title. And for that, I chose Stephen R. Donaldson's A Man Rides Through as a phrase. Yeah. This is book two of Morden's Need, a duology that Donaldson wrote shortly after his original six books series, Thomas Covenant, the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever. And the first book of this was called The Mirror of Our Dreams, and then A Man Rides Through. And it detailed it's like a portal fantasy that has a very strong female protagonist, excellent characterization, and of course Donaldson's usually in-depth psychological look at a character, and very well done. Very not talked about and underrated. So Morden's Need, if you want a short series, it's only two books. Pick it up. Next, we have a book with a sentence in the title, and The God Is Not Willing by Steven Erickson. You guys probably all know by now that the Malazan series is my favorite of all time. And this is no exception. This was a great addition. It's book one of the Witness trilogy um, that is currently coming out now. It's the only book out right now. So this is awesome. I love Erickson's titles. His titles for his books are just outstanding. And this is one of the better ones here. The God Is Not Willing, a sentence. And there is one title that Erickson has that I have an issue with, and you're going to see that later on in this video. So let's move on to a book with an unusual word in the title. You're going to see a pattern here. Going back to Donaldson, Fatal Revenant. And this is book two in the last Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, a four-book series that he put out much later than the original six-book series there. And I just found that this term revenant is an unusual word. We don't usually use that for like it's like a non-corporeal being, sometimes undead or whatever. But most of the time we use ghost or spirit or haunt or something like that. So it was just interesting and unusual use for that word there. And next we have a book with a name in the title. So for that I went back to Malazan. Ian C. Esselmont's Kellanved's Reach. Kellanved is the main character. And in this series, this is a prequel series to Malazan Book of the Fallen. This is the Path to Ascendancy series, book three. It's called Kellanved's Reach, and it's about his his reach, his ascendancy to the throne, to the in the beginnings of the Malazan Empire and his, his machinations to make that happen. So a very cool series. If you haven't read the prequel, it's a prequel series to the Malazan Book of Fallen. If you haven't gotten to that yet, definitely check it out. So next we have a book with a made-up word in the title. This was a tough one. So I'm gonna go with Janie Wert's The Curse of the Mistwraith, because I never knew what a Mistwraith was before this. I have a feeling she made it up, and so that's what I'm going with. Maybe this has occurred somewhere else, but I've never seen it. I never heard of it, and so to me, it's a made up word. And this is the first book of the Wars of Light and Shadow, an 11-book series that's going to be completed, I believe, next year. So hop on this now if you want to get a great ending. She's a great writer, and of course, it does not surprise me that she made up a great word. All right, next we have a book with a pun in the title. I don't own this book, but I read it a long time ago, and it's called Another Fine Myth. You know, it's like another fine mess or something like that. So it's a little pun on that saying. And this is by Robert Aspirin. He wrote over 10 books, maybe more, in this myth series. That is basically the whole series is a pun. He has puns laden throughout the whole series. And so if you like humor and you like magic and fantasy, Another Fine Myth is something you might want to pick up. It's a lot of fun to read. It's really quick, and so check those out. Robert Aspirin. Um, Next is a book with a title that describes it well. For this one, I chose Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythology because it's about Norse mythology. It's pretty straightforward. He takes all the Norse myths, he gives them, he gives them a more solid, like modern story retelling in that Neil Gaiman style, and he does it very well. It's a lot of fun to read this. It's only 300 pages. It's a nice short little standalone novel, and Norse mythology is what it's about, so that's what it's called. And finally, we have a book with a title that doesn't describe it well. And for this, we're going back to Erickson. Gardens of the Moon, the one that started all this off. Gardens of the Moon. This is a big, huge, epic, dark fantasy. It's got war, it's got battles, it's got all this philosophy, and it's got everything you would want out of an epic fantasy and more, because it doesn't fit the mold of many of the epic fantasies up there. And this title, Gardens of the Moon, doesn't tell me anything. Um, Actually, it sounds kind of nice. A garden. Oh, look, the moon. It's very nice. Um, this book is anything but nice. So, Gardens of the Moon. Yeah, maybe somebody can explain it to me. I really don't know what that title is going for. Um, if you look at the original cover of the mass paperback, I think it has like this like super buff guy on a horse, or a girl on a horse, or maybe the guy there too with the. It looks like a romance novel, and that's what you wanted. That's fine, but Gardens of the Moon. This is the only title in the whole Malazan epic that I'm just like flustered by. And then actually, because I had heard about this series, way back in the 2000s, and I was like, and I've always wanted to try it out, and then I swear this title kept me away from it for about a year, as you know, I used to haunt the bookstore, and so I don't get this one. Sorry, Mr. Erickson, but that one didn't do it for me. So that's it. That is the book tag I have. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I would like to tag a couple of great folks myself. I would like to tag Chris Mohan, which is on the YouTube channel at Chris Mohan. And I would also like to tag Dan at the Black and Blue Color Reader. So if you guys happen to see this and want to give this tag a try, um, try it out. It was kind of fun and I enjoyed it. So thank you to Robyn for tagging me. And with that said, be good to each other and thank you.